Choice. It's the part of the medium of gaming that distinguishes it from other art forms. And while other mediums have certainly dabbled in choice, such as choose your own adventure books and even some films, what makes games unique are the inputs the player makes into the game. In fact, some games are built completely around that concept. Many, however, fail to see the importance of choice in games, and why you can't just throw some in without first considering how important choice really is. In fact, choice is the most important part of gameplay in any game, and while it's easy to see only this as choice, every game has many choices to consider. Take Super Mario World as an example. In this scene, the player is given a choice when to jump over this pitfall. If they jump at the right time, they make it past. But if they jump too early or too late, and this choice is all over the entire game. The developer's job is to create the points of choice, and then to decide the consequences and rewards of that choice. Choices have to be fair, balanced, and exciting. But most importantly, they need to have consequences. And probably none do this better than the Witcher series. While other games can struggle with meaningful choice in games, The Witcher finds exceptional balance in all choices involved, most notably the in-game choices. The Witcher understands that consequences are important in games when choice is involved. Now, without any consequences, choices become meaningless. Entire villages can suffer the consequences of your choices, as well as important and non-important characters. The player can also miss out on good loot, armor, and other items. It makes the player really put some thought into which choice they're going to make. Plus, many of the choices in The Witcher have morality woven into them. This makes the player look internally to question what they believe is right and wrong. And The Witcher's emphasis on choice extends past the narrative into the gameplay itself. Players have to choose what kind of Witcher they want to be. The game limits how many playstyles the character can choose. Maybe they'll focus on poisons, or they'll become an axe master. So the player has to decide to be a jack of all trades, or a master of one. And the player isn't completely limited, because The Witcher allows the player to reset that if they so wish, though it can be costly. This just adds to the impact of the choices the player makes. And these choices aren't haphazard, they're building to a point. That point being that the developers are adding value to their game. By making the game have differing paths and so many quests, it means the player can return and play through the game again and experience totally new things. In a game as big as The Witcher, replaying it is another 30-40 plus hours of gameplay. And the narrative allows for the ending to change as well, leaving the characters in completely different places. Other games which have differing paths don't always offer that. Plus, the choices in gameplay mean the player can go through the game again, playing it entirely differently. Maybe the first time they were diplomatic, but now they're going to take a more hardlined approach. And while amount of time a game takes shouldn't be a major reflection of a game's worth, it still factors in.
Either way, you're gonna beat this snooze fest in just 4 hours or less.
For a AAA game with a price tag of $70, $80, sometimes even $90, you'd at least expect a decent amount of gameplay. And that's where The Witcher delivers. But even ignoring that, these choices add more than just value to a game. Having consequential choices adds not only breadth, but depth to the game. Having your actions affect the world and characters in-game gives the choices weight, and it makes the world feel bigger and far more immersive. And that's what RPGs are all about, immersing the player in the world. A breathing world that feels alive and can be interacted with. And all of this comes from impactful choices the developers included by design. They aren't just there by chance. So when designing your game, think about all the choices your players will make. Because big or small, in every game, every choice matters.